Hey, DM Dango here with another review from the DM's Guild. This time we're looking at the Construct Compendium. I hope I don't have to put this together. So, the Construct Compendium. What are you getting in this supplement? You're getting a lot, actually. You're getting 4 new races, 12 new subclasses, they're called archetypes here, along with 8 new feats, 16 new spells, 11 magic items, 26 new monsters, and a custom Golem creation guide. So it's quite a hefty amount of stuff you're getting, all for $7.95, so quite a good value. Also, now, how does everything stack up though, and what specifically are you getting? Well, for races you're getting 4, the Ascended, the Kemlings, the Rogue Modrons, and the Warforged. Now, the Rogue Modrons and the Warforged are something I've seen before. I think the Warforged show up in one of the Unearthed Arcana, specifically the one to do with Eberron. The Rogue Modrons, I can't remember where I've seen them before, but I know that they've been mentioned, perhaps in other DM's Guild products, or even from Wizards themselves. Now, the Ascended and the Kemlings I've not seen before. That doesn't mean they aren't already out there, but it just means something fresh for me. Now, the Ascended are kind of like a Borg-ish, right, like race. They feel the call of Mechanus, they listen to its god, and they believe that changing their own bodies will allow them to become closer to the noise they hear, and they take on a surname that is simply a number, which is very Mechanus-like. Each of the classic races can become one of the Ascended, and you have sub-races within the Ascended. This is where some of my problems lie within the overall module. There are a number of races in here that I feel a little unbalanced. The Elf variant of the Ascended is very, very powerful. He gains bonuses to Dexterity along with True Sight. And True Sight is incredibly powerful. If you don't know, True Sight allows you to do some very, very powerful stuff. You are immune to illusions. You can see through both darkness and magical darkness. You can see into the ethereal plane. A lot of enemies rely on either the illusion magics working or ethereal planes. Trickery in general is harder against players with True Sight. The other races are okay. They feel strong, but not overly so. The Kemlings have an interesting mechanic where they can imbibe a substance called humors. It's an old, I believe, English medical practice where they believe that the humors caused all number of maladies. In this case, they're using the humors to adjust their bodies in different ways. It allows them to move a single stat point around, so they can go from 15 strength to 16 if they take the point of dex and pump it upwards. But they can only move 1 point at a time, and they can only move 1 point. It's a floating point, not they can just magically change all their stats to all be strength, and they can, make themselves as dumb as possible. They can't do that. The Rogue Modrons and the Warforged, for instance, they've remained largely unchanged if you've seen them before, except for the Warforged ever so slightly, as they have gained a subclass, or 2 subclasses. A frontline variant, which is big and beefy and broad, and a more lithe scout-type variant, which is it gives them enough separation to allow you to play maybe that stealth Warforged you always wanted to. The Rogue Modrons are the creations of Mechanus, and obviously at some point they decide to leave Mechanus and its song. You also get 12 new subclasses, 1 for each one, so you can play as something like the Wizard School of Transmogrification, or you can play as the Scarecrow Barbarian, which allows you to become furniture. is the only way I can really put this, and surprise your enemies by leaping when they sit down in the chair. It's no longer a chair. The spells are interesting, and they all have a construct feel, and things like Conjure or Ornithopter, which made me chuckle a little bit. There are also 11 new magical items, and some of these I really love. The Eyes of Mechna and the Boots of Hurtling are some of my favorites. I know they're very early on, but the Eyes of Mechna are kind of a way, the lore behind it is that a set of wizards attempted to create a a safe version of the Eyes of Vecna, sorry. And they mostly succeeded, and they created a set of eyes. They're not quite as powerful, obviously, the eye being insanely strong, but they do carry some of the powers, or some close to the powers. The boots of hurtling are just an interesting item. They are steam-powered boots that will rocket you in any direction if it so chooses, or you can use that steam to blind or obscure yourself and your allies. Moving on from there, you have a number of monsters available to you, all with a construct theme, each taking on different things. For instance, you have things like a self-propelled arrow, animated dressers, wandering wheels, and a set of creatures called the automaton, which are the highest pinnacles of artificial intelligence. You also have a set of autonomous vehicles that you can even craft yourself, provided you have the right materials for. Very cleverly designed things like horseless carriages, hulking warforms, the ornithopter I mentioned before, and a roving boat that has a harpoon that it can use. You also have the gear elemental I mentioned earlier, along with a number of new golem types. You also have, now these have been mentioned before, but some of these things have been fleshed out slightly. The inevitables, the powerful lawful constructs that come from the plane of Mechanus. And they exist for the sole purpose of punishing those who break universal laws. Things like the laws of physics. So wizards beware in this area. They tend to be the ones to break these laws. Although there is a book that I read that actually would allow you to do this as well. And then finally, there's the Custom Golem Creation Guide, which allows you to create golems of various kinds and adjust them as you so fit. And it gives you a costings of how you would do this and DCs and everything you kind of need if your players are so inclined to say, well, I want to make a golem today. Now, most of these things and most golems in general and most constructs in general take months and months to create. So you're still talking downtime, but at least it gives you the tools to do so. There's a lot here, and there's a lot here for the price as well. So it's $7.95, and there's quite a breadth of content here. If you were interested in running, say, a construct-heavy campaign, you were going to go to the plains of Mechanus eventually, or potentially you were escaping. Maybe you have a party of nothing but rogue Modrons that have escaped together and formed this small collective. This would be really useful, because it would give you a lot of tools to say, well, these things are chasing you as a result of your escape. Here's your bit. Here's your monsters for that. And here's some stuff that you can do as part of that. And here's some things that are in Mechanus that you can leverage. It also helps for if you have classes or people in your group that are gearheads, or who really love that steampunk kind of style golem creation aesthetic. If you have artificers, for instance, this is a great supplement for that. It's also a really good supplement if you just wanted to put in something more interesting. If you really love constructs as a DM, this is a great supplement for you. The one thing I will say is that some of the races and some of the classes feel a little unbalanced. The elf I mentioned before, and there are a number of other smaller ones where I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like the power could either come up or down a little bit in order to kind of keep it within a safe range, as it were. I think with the balance issues, I do have to deduct a point. I'm not entirely sure or I feel safe or comfortable without some adjustments. Now, D&D is all about adjustments, but the less adjustments I have to make into a game, the better. So, all told, I would give this a 4.5 out of 5. I don't think it's deserving of full docking, but I don't think it's a perfect product. I think there are some things that could be adjusted to make it a little better. There are a number of things, like I said before, balance issues being the primary one where I'm not sure. This feels a little on the overpowered side or a little on the underwhelming side in some cases. And that's both for races and classes. And they make up about 20% of the overall document. So that's why I'm only deducting about half a point. Magical items are magical items. The Golem Custom Creation Guide is beautiful and well balanced from that perspective. And the monsters feel like they fit their challenge ratings. So I'm not harping there. So anyways, that's my rating, 4.5 out of 5. Thank you. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.